March is an intense month as we begin eclipse season and planets are changing heliacal phases in different locations all over the globe. I am Tammy Antoinette. I am a Babylonian astrologer. I practice astrology as it was practiced in the Golden Age, the age of the pure knowledge of astrology, the age of the first documented astrology of what's actually happening on the real sky. So as we begin the month of March, Saturn is still invisible under the rays of the sun, and he continues this invisibility at least until later this month, and even longer in some areas, more on the northern, closer to the North Pole, closer to the poles. I'm in Texas, so I expect to see Saturn at the end of this month. But if you are in a latitude further away from the equator, then you'll have to wait longer to see Saturn on the morning sky. So we're feeling the effects of his meeting exact with both the sun and the Mercury that happened on February 28th. And this creates a change going forward for the new cycle. So this was a day of spiritual tests and work concerning limits, fears, true purpose, true spiritual understanding, and the way our thinking influences us. It's best to make changes this month based on these realizations that we had over the past few days, so that whenever Saturn does begin to appear again in the morning sky, we have this new knowledge as our compass to navigate in the material world. Saturn is very powerful and will reward us, or he can cause strife based on our consistent morals, our values, our integrity, our discipline over time. So his effects can be permanent. Jupiter is giving opportunity to raise ourselves and our lives to a higher standard as he's making a sextile, a harmonious sextile to the Saturn position. So our faith, our gratitude, our higher level beliefs in good fortune will buoy us forward if we decide to use this opportunity. Mercury becomes visible conjunct Neptune on March 7th here in my Texas sky, but later, if you're in latitudes further from the equator, you may not see him in your sky until March 11th or even later, depending on where you are on the globe. So he may appear, he's going to appear for most of us, he's going to be in phase during the first lunar crescent. And in the beginning, this is in the beginning of Pisces, he'll appear with the fixed star Skeet in the Pegasus constellation, which brings quick advancements, motion, developments for transportation, for trades, for negotiation and communication. Intelligence and bravery are the combined influences of the planet Skeet with Mercury. But beware of also increased psychological problems amongst those who are intellectuals during this cycle. So whatever shows up during this cycle can be addressed with spiritual work and with creativity. We can see more ocean and water crisis probably. This is increased due to this combination in the sky when we see this first lunar crescent with this first appearance of Mercury, with the ongoing eclipses also here coming to this part, or continuing in this part of the sky from last fall. Mercury is benefic here in Pisces for increasing creativity and for the ability and intentions to help those who are suffering. So for any charitable actions, kindness, compassion, universal love, this is increasing. So these are attributes to use to balance any psychological problems that may be showing themselves from this combination. March 8th, the moon is going to become invisible in the stars of Aquarius, conjunct Venus and Saturn. So during this invisible moon period is a good time to clear out and wrap up anything that came to culmination at the full moon that happened 2 weeks prior, so that you can prepare for a new lunar cycle that begins when we see the first lunar crescent on the evening of March 11th. This can portend to anything related to spirituality, concerning friendships, community, and anything that may hinder your freedom. It's time to clear it out during the dark moon period, and it's time to take extra rest and extra reflection inward. And then March 10th, the moon conjuncts the sun, which marks the end of the 13th lunar cycle of the Babylonian solar lunar year that began back in spring of 2023, whenever we saw the first lunar crescent that appeared after the sun met the point of the vernal equinox. So the moon meets the sun to plan this final lunar cycle to wrap up the year. But it's best to wait until March 11th, whenever we see the first lunar crescent appear, to take action, to put these plans in action. This cycle, beginning with Mercury in Pisces, is good for studies, media work, writing, and negotiation, whenever very mindful diplomacy is involved. So this whole new lunar cycle is good for that. And there are typically 12 lunar cycles in a year, but sometimes we have an odd year of 13 lunar cycles, like the one that we're wrapping up now. It's not typically a good omen to have 13 lunar cycles in a year, because the sacred geometry that can be divisible by more variables creates options and creates harmony. So we're wrapping up with the last lunar cycle of a mathematically inharmonious year. The sun and moon conjunction that happens at 26 degrees Aries will be with Venus, 26 degrees Aquarius will be with Venus and Saturn, and in a harmonious sextile with Uranus and Jupiter, which is a decision point for planning what's to begin whenever we do see that first lunar crescent on March 11th with that Mercury in Pisces. This can influence, in this space in the sky, this can influence a more barren 30 days because of the changing point in Aquarius, where the moon meets the sun. So it can result in a month of more infertility, even though we still have the height of the solar flares increasing fertility this year to help keep balance. And this cycle is a time, this whole incoming lunar cycle is a time to shed the old and do our spring cleaning in any area of life that needs it. It's not good timing for beginning anything that requires good fertility. So gratitude, faith, trust in the natural cycles, because Jupiter is helping, and we're being helped with making good changes and clearing things out so that we can make advancements in our evolution. And this is going to bless us immensely for the opportunity for change and for advancement. This new lunar cycle is perfect for intellectual progress and development, but we can experience more diplomatic problems with tension between oppositions and polarities. So practicing good diplomatic skills and using the intellect to create harmony will benefit us. People pleasing to create harmony will always backfire due to inauthenticity. But cultivating good diplomatic and relationship skills by being a good listener, seeking to understand the other party, and then sticking to your values and energetic boundaries in a non-blaming way will create growth and rewards, especially as Venus begins to weaken for her invisibility period that happens every year. In some places, Venus is already disappearing this month, and it'll be invisible through June. However, in Texas here, I expect to continue to see Venus bright in the sky, in the morning sky, through most of April. And nearer to the equator has even more visibility of the planets. But for many who are in latitudes near to the poles, she'll already be transforming into Ishara of the underworld. This is in the ancient texts. This is Ishara. This is Persephone. This is Ereshkigal. And when you no longer see Venus in your morning sky, then this is time for more karmic conclusions and rewards in matters of relationships, love, money, and business. So whatever you began back when Venus appeared last year as a morning star is reaching conclusion when she descends back into the underworld, so that you're either reaping rewards or you're experiencing consequences that can bring unexpected changes. Venus's invisible phase is a beautiful time to become adorned with all of the greatest mystical wisdom and knowledge, but it's not a good time to get married. It's not a good time to begin a new financial development or begin a new business or creative project or partnership. So it's perfect timing for deep spiritual transformation, as Venus is blessing and offering protection in the unseen worlds. Diplomacy, harmony, joy, and peace in the material world do not come so easily during the invisibility of Venus. So I advise people to not conduct marriages and not schedule weddings during this time at all. Venus phases will need an entire focused video and write-up all on its own to dive deeper into this topic. So stay tuned for this, and be sure you hit the subscribe button, hit the like button so you see more videos like this, and even go to thestarqueen.com/blog and sign up for my newsletter so you don't miss a thing. Invisible planets grant inner wisdom and spiritual qualities during their invisibility period, but they do not give material results they don't give results in the 3D world unless it's from something that you did in the past and now you're reaping automatic rewards. Jupiter is powerful in fire, the fire sign of Aries, and he's influencing a benevolent inspiration and impulse to everything that is happening on the sky. So this brings us grace and protection. He enters the royal degree, 19 degrees Aries, the degree of the exaltation of the sun, only once in 12 years. So that's where he will be this month. And benevolent leaders will have more to resolve and should be more careful with their health. This indicates better times for those who are rising into royal positions or into leadership positions. Those in leadership will have greater spiritual progress in their lives, and also health-related issues will come up so that they can be resolved. It's a good time to resolve these things. For those who are in leadership positions, especially. March 12th, Mars enters the degree of exaltation at 27 degrees Capricorn, which is protected. So, and in some places on the planet, he is still invisible in the sky. In my sky, I see him in the morning sky now. He's already risen, but no matter, during this time, he's protected when he's in this place of exaltation. So March 12th, even March 11 through 13, businessmen, military, and those who are ruled by Mars will have better results from their action. This is a good, strong time for them and anything in your life that has to do with that. March 17th, Mars enters Aquarius to meet Saturn in the sky, to conjunct exact in April. And this This can heighten conflict in the world, as Aquarius is the constellation representing the human form. Mars contributing here can influence greater conflicts amongst people, communities, humanity, greater conflicts pertaining to freedom and in friendships. So be more careful and diplomatic concerning friends and friendships and connection with others. Searching and striving for freedom can be more difficult during this time. This can especially affect countries, Ukraine, Brazil, Canada. People will be more aggressively fighting for their rights and freedom, but Saturn can bring heavy obstacles and challenge. Saturn will overcome the challenges. Saturn is stronger here than Mars, even though Mars is pretty strong right now, since we are in a Mars epoch and he is being birthed powerfully in the sky in different locations over the world right now. Traditional beliefs and understandings will be stronger and more powerful than aggression with this configuration. March 17th, the Sun conjuncts Neptune in Pisces. This day increases our sensitivity, our intuition, our empathy, and and even the days surrounding March 17th, leading up to it and after it, probably within like at least a 3-day period. Being more affected by the thoughts and feelings of others and the environment can be either a positive or a negative experience, depending on who and what you surround yourself with and what environments you're in. So care, compassion, kindness are all increased, and boundaries are dissolved during this time. So be mindful who you surround yourself with. So around March 15th through 19th are not good timing for negotiations. Spiritual sensitivity is stimulated, but beware of being susceptible to false prophets, to delusions. Setting healthy energetic boundaries will allow you to enjoy a sense of togetherness with loved ones. Environmental, charity, social, community contribution and groups will be of benefit. Spiritual or occult subjects like astrology can be better understood under this high awareness transit. And at a more mundane level, with the Sun conjunct Neptune, this is a good time to go to the movies, escape from reality through fantasy novels and movies and things like that. Although this transit does sublimate the ego, you may still improve your self-esteem with mirrors and with cameras. So we can have fun with those things. We can use our heightened imagination and our heightened charity to benefit ourselves, to benefit others, to benefit the environment. March 18th, Saturn enters the degrees representing the holy waters of life and knowledge for humanity. So this can influence, it can bring danger of pollution for the waters. So we want to be more mindful of the waters, of our drinking water, oceans, rivers, making sure it's clean, making sure we do the things to keep it clean. Saturn will be here for 2 to 3 weeks and can influence through April with tests to bring greater order to overcome ignorance. Saturn in Aquarius will give good results, but can give greater tests, tribulations, and loss of time for more spiritual people. March 19th, Mercury conjuncts the North Node in Pisces, causing disruptions, particularly for ocean trade. Some will have profits and some will have losses. Be careful if you're ruled by Mercury to not fall victim of desires. This is not a good day for travel, and it can bring sudden changes to the financial markets. March 21 to 22, Venus meets invisible Saturn as the moon crosses the threshold from water to fire, which is a very volatile space in the sky. This marks an ending and a beginning. Many will reap karmic rewards relating to friendships, communities, freedom. But in many parts of the world, Venus is already disappearing here. So Any karmic endings will be attributed to morals, to past actions. This is a beautiful time for studying secret knowledge such as astrology and the esoteric sciences, especially for the benefit of experiencing more freedom for you and for your community. March 25th begins the seasonal eclipse portal with the full lunar eclipse in Virgo, completing this portal with the solar eclipse April 8th. So the nodes of the moon moved into Virgo, the Virgo Pisces axis in the fall of 2023, which you can recall in my video about the eclipses that I made then. This eclipse is happening high in the sky over North America, bringing direct influence for its line of sight always. So directly influencing Northern America, especially. This is creating endings and humanitarian changes that are influencing our health and our sciences. The most important event for March is the eclipse at 11 degrees Virgo. The Virgo is also, it's always been symbolized as Mother Mary, as literally a virgin angel with wings, the divine mother, Isis. So all through history, this is the representation of this constellation in the sky. And this is at the degree related to people who have important rulership positions in society, especially in matters of health and science. And it's also with a star of sexual powers. Those practicing scandalous or unhealthy sexuality and immoral affairs will face great problems and will need to be more careful with their health. They can feel these effects with the consequences of depletion of their creative life force energy. Those with healthy sexual boundaries and morals can be rewarded with more increased health. The effects of sexual actions for each individual are not only personal, but have great effect on the entire human genome and through entire lineages for many generations, regardless of whether or not children are birthed from the act of co-creation. And this is ancient knowledge, and it's scientific now today. We know this. So it is now a time for changes, purification, and reclaiming of our life force energy. We need to be mindful to be good, responsible gatekeepers of the DNA. So stay tuned for my incoming ebook. I will have out later this month for reclaiming your life force energy for women so that you can influence higher creative power and magnetism with this purification of this energy. The eclipses can have a delayed effect for many months after the occurrence, and they will drastically further change of the social system, which can create crisis attributing to this revolutionary year. And if you go back and see my 2024 prediction for the year, you'll see all the revolutionary changes that are happening this year. March 27th, Saturn will become visible in my Texas sky at this latitude as a morning star in the holy waters of knowledge that are being poured onto humanity. And this can be beneficial for those who are ruled by Saturn. New commitments will bring long-term effects with this very strong position. Saturn is the Lord of karma. He's Father Time. He's the Lord of tears. He's the most powerful in the hierarchy of all of the other planets. He is the strongest planet in his position right now, and his effects will be great, especially for long-term and permanent rewards. He will bring new structures, systems, governance, especially over people and over communities. He will reward high morals, responsibility, discernment, energetic boundaries, and good discipline. Wherever planets are positioned in your personal horoscope and in your location is where they will affect you in your life. Only maybe 10 astrologers on Earth are practicing this, that I know of, are practicing this pure astrology from the golden age, the age of pure knowledge, beauty, abundance, that is Babylonian astrology, and the only astrology that harnesses the full power of the true sky and all of the heavenly influence that we can see with our naked eye. This high level of support has been pivotal and even life-saving for those who have been in leadership positions for thousands of years. And now, too, of course, it's very high guidance for those on their evolutionary path of growth and development who desire to up-level their lineage with their own personal development. And I will leave a link in the description below if you'd like to book a consultation with me. And as an astrologer, it is my responsibility to have the most potent and pure remedies and solutions for any and all challenges, and always honor and petition the hierarchy of heaven and the most powerful influence of the infinite source of love, creation, and intelligence that can lift us to grace rather than keeping us trapped in these lower karmic loops. So you can learn more about this responsibility and discernment of pure knowledge in my video titled Calling Astrology Back into Its Rightful Dignity. And remember that God knows better. God always knows better. And I love hearing from you and how you're experiencing the impulses of the sky through your evolution. So leave me a comment below, and much love and truth to you.